noticed that Robin mentioned something that when people were kneeling, so Kaepernick took his knee, you saw it disrespectful. So what do you see about those people who came to his aid to kneel as well? How did you see those people?
Me personally, I still think it's disrespectful.
Okay.
Because I grew up, my most of my family has been military, stretching all the way back to the Civil War. Civil War, they were part of the Union, and then World War One, World War II, Korea, Vietnam, basically every major conflict that the United States has been a part of. I've had families stretched all across branches and fighting
this
for
is
that.
a totally different podcast, but you feel that every single one of those wars is completely justified and true, and we were on the side of morality, right?
No, it's in the sense that I've had, like I said, I have family members, and I know a lot of military people, and that when they go out there, they die and lose their lives. Like, and I'm going to use this is the most quotable thing people always say, but look at all the 18-year-olds and 19-year-olds and 20-year-olds that were drafted in, and their first mission was being dropped on the beaches of Normandy, invading France to open up another front so that we can push the Nazis and everything back into Germany. They didn't get to live. They got to turn 18, become an adult, get shipped off halfway across the world just to get shot within the first 10 seconds. 9 months or whatever, how many months of training, depending on what branch they were in. Army's 9, Marines is 13. I think the Navy is I'm gonna say 8 or 7. I'm not entirely sure about the rest, but all the months of training, being told that you're going out there and and being told that you're probably going to die on this mission alone, that freaks a lot of people out. And then they go out there and then I'm gonna use a movie as an example. Saving Private Ryan. When the things dropped, when the boats dropped and everything started up, and the bullets immediately started hitting all of them. All those people, just think about the fact that in real life, that actually happened. Those things dropped. Yeah. The MG-42 started lighting them up. And all those people who grew up, had plans of becoming successful or having a family or anything, were just taken in the blink of an eye. And in the long run, those people died so that you and I and all of us can sit here talking about what's going on in our country now.
So that's the part I got to stop you on, because they didn't do that for me.
Well,
the black people because the black people that fought in those wars fought against those people, the POWs, the prisoners of war, that got brought over, got better liberties than black people in their own country that they was fighting for. So when black people ended up coming back, they still had to go to the back of the restaurant to go eat.
Well, that you're just...
So they didn't. So when you say that they were fighting for me, they damn sure wasn't fighting for me.
I'm not saying you specifically or Black Joe. I'm saying they died so that you can have the right to talk about these issues. They died for you to actually. Would you rather have those people die, come back, deal with the segregation, and then fight against that segregation, have the civil rights movement go on, and then continue to live it out? Or would you rather be speaking German right now?
Well, it's not about rather, but it's all about more. It's all about the moral motivation. When we speak on that, I can speak of two evils, and then I have to choose the least. That's basically what you just posed to me, is choosing the lesser of evils. Me speaking German, or me basically having to have to fight two wars.
Right.
I got to fight for the country of, I'll say this, the country of the white man who took this country over, and then actually didn't have to fight for my equality back when I get home from just fighting that war and losing my life.
But on the front line, those soldiers didn't see race. They saw brotherhood. They fought together.
No, and definitely I think that's true.
My basic premise was all those people died, and in the long run, it was to fight against Nazis coming in. World War II. I was using World War II as an example, but
that's a good example.
But all those people died, and in the long run, we didn't get taken over by any other country. We still have our liberties, and we had our people on the home front fighting against segregation.
Now that one I would say we were fighting for freedom, but that's where I'm questioning. But what is freedom like when you're saying we're fighting for freedom?
I would say what we have.
We damn sure ain't fighting for freedom now.
That's why
I would rather say we're fighting for freedom then, instead of being sent into a cage and being lit on fire because you're slightly darker than the average white person. I would say that's not freedom.
I see the disagreement here. I get what's going on, less two evils, but we're dealing with here now. And like, okay, for example,
and I'm saying all the people that have died and the soldiers that we have.
And that's
I'm
important.
saying, to me, that's disrespectful, and I don't have to agree with it. But
Yeah.
people don't have to agree
you
with
can
me.
do it, right? What you're saying.
We live in
Okay.
America, and the whole point of this is
but-
that we have different ideologies, and the whole point is
And
we
you-
talk to each
And
other.
you've said that the whole time, but you wouldn't disagree that you can kneel for the anthem. You can.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You can kneel
Well,
for it.
I don't
Yeah,
think there's
but-
any. I don't think there's anybody
Yeah.
taking the stance that you can't kneel.
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
the conversation that is being
It's
missed is whether it's right
it's
or
being
not,
dismissed.
and it's not only being dismissed, but the word you're choosing to use, and this is the reason why I think Tony brought it up, but I'm bringing it up again, is the word disrespectful.
Mhm.
To me, that's a very tangible word. There's one thing to say that you don't agree, or you're saying for yourself you would not exercise the same actions that Kaepernick and other people are doing.
Mhm.
But when people use the word disrespectful, that is putting it in a very negative light. And to me, I think that's staining what he's doing.
Well,
Because when you say the word disrespectful,
Muévela la luz.
when you got the Green Beret veteran whose idea
yeah,
it was the one who created to
It
kneel.
can be his idea.
So
but
is
I
he
still
being
don't-
disrespectful to his own troops
He
and
can-
himself? He's
he can-
disrespecting himself.
One person can't decide what other people think.
We're making
If
so much
he can-
progress.
If they have
If
the
he,
platform.
if he can say that it's his idea for Colin Kaepernick to
What-
kneel,
okay, let me-
I still don't have to say that I find it okay. I still think it's disrespectful to all the soldiers that died,
I'm gonna make.
but they died so that he has the right to do that. And that's what my basic premise is.
Let me jump in here. I'm gonna be the buffer. First of all, we've beaten that idea to the ground. That we get that part. That's over.
Well, we
That's
got the opinion. I think we all understand the opinion.
But look, I'm gonna be the buffer here. But like, what are we disagreeing on? I still am not sure because we both.
Well, the part that I'm disagreeing on,
Yeah,
and
it's
the
the
part that
language
I'm
and making it
that I'm
negative.
trying to get across is the word disrespectful.
It
Yeah,
can be
same.
negative. Yeah.
Because when you say that it's disrespectful, and it's disrespectful how you mentioned it, you said because the soldiers that have died.
Yeah.
So you don't think it's disrespectful for the human beings that have died at police's hands, or not just have died, have basically been attacked and brutalized.
But we're not
At the
discussing that. We're
But-
discussing.
But we are,
Yeah.
because
Kaepernick.
that is the reason why
That's why
Kaepernick
he's
is kneeling.
He's
So when you
kneeling,
say
but when it comes to the national anthem and the flag, I relate it to the soldiers.
But that's not what he's talking.
So
about.
what? So what
he
about
can relate to that, but he asked me.
So what
I
about the
think is
origin of the
disrespectful
national
about it.
anthem?
Yeah,
So
so we discussed in that how it was made by an old angry racist and how we had to revise it and take out the part that was racist about. We already talked about this.
So you still think, even though it was revised, you think it's okay that needs to be played in front of everybody?
Never said that. I
But-
said when it comes to that, people who sit or kneel, I think it's disrespectful. That's just me.
But
That's
what's-
how I was raised,
so why
and
are
I've
we-
already explained this.
Why are we still?
So we
stuck
could
on
take
that,
we
though?
could take the origin out of that because
Yeah.
that's okay because maybe it means something different now, right? To the soldiers that go into the military, because it is different for them now. It's a
Yeah.
different generation now. They're going into the military. That's where I get confused again, though, because I understand what you're saying. That makes complete sense. But I'm even going into the fact of like saying that they're fighting for our freedom. Like that's where I'm confused about. Like them fighting for our freedom right now. I'm really confused about
It's a
that.
patriotic kind of idea. Like,
Right. I think it's a sense of nationalism almost, where it's just too much. No, this is America, red, white, and blue. Like it's almost like, wait, okay. Because I just say this because I have family members that are in the military. One of them kept me out of the Marines. I literally was supposed to.
My dad was in the Air Force, and he told me not to get in the
Not to
military,
get into the military.
based on
We are killing people.
certain reasons, and that we're no longer at war for freedom,
No.
and we haven't been
The
for a
military
long
industrial
time.
complex does it for
76,
profit.
17.
We are
Yeah.
in it for corporations. We are fighting for banks and
it's
other
also
and
why
other
it's
interests.
past wars.
It's
conflicts.
Yeah, I agree with
that.
that. World War II is a good example.
And
Because
like
that's
America,
the kind of thing.
Mhm.
Germany's trying to take over the world and get racial purification. They're trying to enforce their ideologies on other countries.
Probably honest.
That I'm saying that's what, because when you left, that's what we were talking about.
Well, we were talking
Okay.
about like saying that by him kneeling is disrespectful. Yet,
And I was quoting
Well,
soldiers that
I
have
want
died.
to hear Tony's.
yeah.
Well, no. Well, okay, so is that your opinion?
Yes.
Well,
And
there's
so that's what I want to stick on.
it boils down to
Yeah,
opinions.
so now we're getting to opinions, but then you also have to support your opinion.
Yeah, but like, okay, also you can take an opinion of what you like, but it's also what does he mean by behind the kneeling, and that's different.
Yes.
But and also what he was pointing out with the whole, fighting for freedom. People say we're
So
fighting
you,
for
so
freedom,
you, so
but,
I
like,
just
that's-
because I want to clarify it.
with him.
So yeah,
Yeah.
so you feel that kneeling or any type of protest
Okay, perfect. That's what I was going. Yeah.
against the national anthem, against the flag, against that facade, that is above reproach, regardless. That's basically what you're saying.
I'm saying
Nazi Germany here in America now.
You can do it though. You're saying you can do it.
Well, no, he's not denying. I don't want to get back into
that's
that.
gone.
We've already. I don't. Not only him. I don't think anyone has ever said Colin Kaepernick or any other player cannot do it physically. Like, nope, you cannot do that. No one's ever said that. No one's stupid enough to say that.
Yeah.
But the idea of agreeing, it's not about agreeing. There's one thing to say I don't agree with it. That's not something I would do. But it's a whole nother thing entirely when you say that it's disrespectful.
To me, in my opinion, I find it disrespectful.
And that's where we need to get to. So you find it disrespectful. So you're saying that any type of protest against the establishment, in this case the national anthem, is above reproach. That's my question.
No, I don't think it is.
So are you telling me that there was a different way that Colin Kaepernick could have done it?
I guess. I mean, he could have just come out and said, "This is what I believe. I don't know. I want to agree with it." And like I said,
how many headlines would that have got?
About
this much.
Never had
So now we're dealing with the concept of comfortability, because it made people uncomfortable. That's why I feel like it's disrespectful, and to me, that's not good enough an excuse. That's my opinion. That's how I feel.
Yes, that's how you feel, and how I feel.
It's also important to point out, like you said way earlier, is not even just the language you're using, you know, because when you say something like, oh, that's disrespectful, it kind of implies this kind of connotation of negativeness and that you're incorrect for doing it, you know,
right?
Which is like, I mean, I'll go with him saying like nobody says you can't do it, you know, and when somebody kneels, like for me personally, it's like of course you can do it, you know. Me, I'm just like I would rather stand myself, you know, personally. I'm not gonna knock you for it, but like a lot of people say, oh, but the troops and the freedom, you know, but other people it's like, you know, that's not the message we're against. It's like because you know you're not against the troops dying. Like I know, you know, they crossed the Delaware and people froze, you know, in Valley Forge for us to have this now.
Fun fact: that painting he's facing the opposite way.
That's funny.
Of the actual thing, they're supposed to cross this way, so he's crossing that way in the painting.
That's deep, fam. But like no one's like, I know people. There's troops that froze in Valley Forge, you know. But then there's certain ideas like why are we in the Middle East, you know? And it's like, what WMDs were there? And like, you know, like are we really fighting for freedom in that area? Like I get the whole defense of the world, but we're long past the idea of like, oh, we're fighting for our freedom. We got our freedoms,
and that's a whole nother.
That's
to me, that's a whole nother
that's why I
discussion.
want to bring
like
it up
because once we start getting to that, I can start going in about the whole. To me, against the anti-Muslim and trying to create the Muslim as the enemy, and we can get into all of that.
Yeah, but the main idea we're trying to get at is
which I think is a bad narrative.
But the idea you're looking at is that because someone finds it disrespectful, therefore that anything against the establishment should that be seen as disrespectful in a negative way? Is that what you're asking him?
Yeah, because my question is, so I look at it this way. You say that, and this goes for anyone. I would ask anyone having the same sentiment that you had.
Yeah.
Is how should someone having an issue with the protest that they're having this issue? How should they have gone about it? And it's funny.
They can take it whatever way they can approach it whatever way they want. I'm still gonna find it disrespectful because it's disrespecting the flag, it's disrespecting the national anthem, and to me, it disrespects the soldiers that have died for this country.
Real quick, so no one says anything else. So basically, when you say that, all you're saying is, I don't care what he has to say about whatever he's saying.
No, well, like
it's not that. Okay, but that's a straw man fallacy.
So like no, but what's going on with you is like you know, we get along just fine. We agree on a lot of things, but like, you know, like I just said, like sure somebody could kneel to the anthem, and then I think about the guys that froze in Valley Forge, and I think about the guys that died, you know, all in the fields in the 18th century. Yes. But like, that's not what I think he means, though. Like I get that, and
I get what his message is. I'm not denying it. I'm not saying
you can find it disrespectful. That's cool.
I'm saying,
but
when
like,
someone disrespects the flag and the national anthem, I'm gonna find.
So how do you? Let me ask you this. I think we're getting there. We're almost getting there.
Yeah.
How do you feel he disrespected?
What's a good way of bringing up the idea?
Hold on. Yeah, you asked him right now. How do you feel?
How do you feel he disrespected it?
He didn't stand up. That's to me. That's how I was raised. That's how.
So how do you define disrespect?
Okay.
Asking the real.
Because to me, the definition of disrespect would basically be anti-compromise, which is exactly what he did. He sat down to start off.
Yes.
And then a military veteran who expressed maybe similar to the way you're explaining how he felt.
Said have respect.
And said have respect. And they reached a compromise based on an action and an exercise of that action that displays respect and empathy for someone who dies. But yet that's still not good enough for you. That's what I'm hearing.
I'm not saying it's not good enough for me. I'm saying you standing for it, to me, I did my entire
No. I get what you're saying. This is my thing. I get what you're saying, but you're saying that it's disrespect, but you have to have a reason. Why is it disrespectful? What is the action of him doing? Because he went from sitting to kneeling. What is disrespectful about what he's doing to the military when he has not ever said anything against the military or the flag, except the fact that he feels like the police.
Nor did I ever say he was targeting the military.
Well, I'm not. I know you haven't said that, but I'm just saying, how is it disrespectful?
Why does it keep lapping around to the military veteran making a compromise?
No. But the idea is that
well, we're still trying to get the understanding.
Okay,
well, for me, anyway, is the disrespectful.
I'm going to try to phrase it how I think you're saying it, so we can get it clear. So the idea is, it's not about the disrespected soldiers. Some people might believe that, but that's not what he means. But the problem is, if you believe that that's disrespectful, then what would be the proper way of bringing up that issue? You mean like in against the establishment is what you're saying?
I mean, I'm saying it like this. It's kind of shortened it up.
Yeah.
You're saying it's disrespectful. You gave the reasons why I have not necessarily. You said that the reasons that you feel this way is because soldiers have died for this country, and that flag represents this country, and that song represents this country, and you should be made to stand, or that you should stand.
You should stand for it. Not you should be made to. No, you should.
And that doing anything other than that is disrespectful.
Yeah.
That to me is where we're having the issue, because that being disrespectful to them would mean I'm coming out and saying I'm being disrespectful to you. I'm not being disrespectful to a military veteran, nor does Green Beret Nate Boyer feel that way, amongst millions of other veterans, past and present, don't feel that way. But I'm having a hard time understanding why you feel it's disrespectful. We can always come to agreement or disagreement of his actions.
Other people can be okay with it, but me personally, I don't have to be.
Well, no, I think that's where we're missing it. The difference between being okay and the difference between it being disrespectful. If you came out and said, I'll put it to you like this. If you came out and said, you know what, I'm just not okay with that. That's not what I would have done. I don't necessarily agree with that. But you're using the word specifically disrespectful. And I think that's the word we're trying to define. But you're not explaining how.
We're reaching the impasse where we have the belief and the challenge is just, it's not coming here. But like I kind of get what he's saying. You know, I'm getting the whole like what really is behind the word disrespect, like, because it's a negative thing when you say disrespect, and it's like what he just said made total sense to me. You can say I wouldn't have done that versus disrespect,
and there's people who believe that, who say that, you know, I wouldn't have done what he did, or I don't necessarily agree of him kneeling because that's how it makes me feel, and my family members feel that may feel that type of way surrounding around the military and the flag. But when you say it's disrespectful, that means you're connecting that with the definition of disrespect, which I'm still clueless on so far.
And then when we get to that level with words like that, with definitions, it's when you start reaching levels that are really deep in behind meaning, and that's when it's difficult to communicate it, which is why we're stuck here right now.
Exactly.
Because disrespect and I wouldn't have done
and not agreeing, those are two different different ideologies and the two different opinions.
Yeah.
When you say disrespect,
because like disrespect
that means I'm disrespecting you. I'm basically saying that you're not worth it, which has never left his lips, has never been his narrative, have never been anything that he's pushed, or anyone else for that matter, that support this protest. So I'm still having a difficult time
There's
understanding
other
the
ways of
disrespect.
Yeah.
interpreting disrespect.
Yeah, but like, look.
But you still haven't explained what disrespect is.
Okay, if I slap Luis,
Don't slap me. Don't slap me.
Yeah, we don't want to do that.
if I slapped him,
Uh-huh.
would you find that disrespectful because I slapped you?
I would have done that. But like, no. But the idea behind the word saying disrespect. Okay, when
But I think that would be universal.
Every time I've heard disrespectful, it means that you did something wrong.
Correct.
You disrespect the Don, you get iced. You disrespect authority, you go to jail. You disrespect your teacher, you get sent to the principal's office. If you're disrespecting the country, what's going on? Like,
Right.
But I get, like I'm get you and I get you both. I'm trying to buffer this together. You feel me?
Right.
Because like there's a difference between disrespect, which implies you did something wrong, or you're like and or being offensive, versus like I wouldn't have done that. And the idea is like what exactly is the disrespectful part? I get the whole part. Respecting, well, not respecting the country, but like paying homage to what the country stands for and what it should be doing is great. But the idea that Kaepernick is saying is that maybe that what we're paying homage to isn't exactly where it should be.
It's not representing.
there.
It's not representing for everyone.
Yeah,
That the protection under that flag is not necessarily representing for everyone. What's being exercised on a daily basis with a certain group of people is not being exercised for everyone. He feels that others without a voice that look like him, blacks, are being disrespected.
Alert, your battery appears to be low.
That's low battery.
Appreciate that.
Thank you.
So that's his stance. That's the reason why he's taking the stance. But it's not anti-military and it's not anti, country.
Yeah, it's just
it's anti.
It's not necessarily even anti.
It's the brutality that people that look like him and himself, like blacks, are facing on an everyday level. But I feel that people, and that's the word that I'm trying to stick to, because you said there's different levels of disrespect, and you tried to use the example of him slapping Luis. I think everybody and anybody watching this right now would say, yeah, that would be disrespectful. But that is the understanding that we have. That is a universal understanding.
Kind of
right now, we don't have a universal understanding in your definition of disrespect. And when it comes to in regards to Colin Kaepernick kneeling for the flag, which was a compromise, that's the part where I'm trying to understand where the disrespect. I understand that I don't want you to rehash and go over again that that's something that you don't agree with, or anybody else that may take this stance. My point is, how is it disrespectful to that?
And I've tried to explain it using history, using the troops, and using how I've been raised as an example, but it keeps reverting back to why do you think it's like
so let's get back. Let's get to that. You said how you were raised. So your definition of disrespect surrounds based on how you were raised around the military, because this is the part that I want to get to. So anything that is against that national anthem, or anything that is not necessarily even against, anything that is shown to bring awareness around, would be considered disrespectful to you while the national anthem is being played.
No.
Okay, if I could jump in real quick. So, no, because I totally get what he means in a sense of, like, all these soldiers in the past, all the blood that's been spilled, like, that means so much. That's etched in that country. That's etched. Song, regardless of what the history is, it's etched in that. I get that. I totally understand that. And the fact that people have died for what our country has had to gone through in terms of wars, if we're just talking about wars.
And
now,
the people and those soldiers that have died for
and the soldiers that have died
died for us to stand here and talk about what we're talking about right now.
Yeah. We've got
So
that.
That's what my whole premise is. My whole premise is those people died.
But it's not about.
And
and
standing for the flag is our way of respecting them. And not standing for it is disrespectful.
But you just said that the people fought so they could do that.
Yeah, you fought so that we can do it, but it's respectful to stand for it.
Are you going for abiding the hand that feeds you thing?
because respectful, disrespectful to me. Now this is just my opinion.
I think now that I'm hearing what you're saying, I think we're now caught up on the word.
Yeah, we're caught up on the word. But here's my thing though, in terms of disrespect, like
Jacob, that's not what I'm saying.
when we go into that, like to me, this is just me. Like disrespect to me is like you see the flag, you start pissing on it and shit like that.
That's
to me,
not-
that's disrespectful.
That's not
Right.
cool.
Like
No,
but to me, I feel like Kaepernick took a different step where he's like, because it's just like to me, America's like a household where it's like, hey, I'm mad at my dad right now. I'm not coming out of my room. I love my dad. I care for him. He's taking care of me. But guess what, Dad? I'm not coming to dinner. Why? Because I'm mad at you. And I close the door. You disrespect. That's not disrespect, Dad. I'm just mad at you right now. We have a problem that you're not addressing. And until you address that problem, I'm not coming out of my room. That's kind of where I feel that the word disrespect needs to be changed from disrespect to maybe we have a misunderstanding. That's it. Yeah. Maybe it's not disrespectful. Maybe there's a misunderstanding that I'm not understanding that this man is going through. And I need to actually understand his point of view, his perspective on what he's going through, and take a step in his shoes and just see what it's like. And if you still disagree with it, well, then you still disagree with it.
And then when I mentioned the whole biting the hand that feeds you thing, what I'm getting is like, and I totally agree with you, is like, let's say, like, America's the hand that feeds you all the, like, America, I can say, myself is like the greatest country around. You can do a lot of things here.
Oh, yeah.
And this is the hand that's feeding you. And some people see Colin Kaepernick, doing this thing as like biting the hand that's feeding him. How dare he's so spoiled, yada yada. Because the hand.
I counter that with that's exactly how this country got colonized.
But like
I would say in its own right. And they basically bit the hand that fed them, dealing with the British, and they did what they did.
Yeah.
And this is the country that we have now. Yeah. And that's what makes it different. Now we can say all day long, yes, that's my opinion, but when you use the word disrespect, now we're taking it to a whole nother stage. We're no longer taking with disagreeing. We're taking it with someone who is ethically, we're drawing the line.
Wrong.
He is wrong.
Yeah.
And that is the issue. Because you are no moral high ground to say that he is. Neither is anybody who has fought for this country. Still can't, because that's exactly the reasons why they did it.
Yeah.
If you want to, if that's what they really went in for.
Yeah. And
so, which we could talk. That's a whole other conversation.
What you're saying, Jacob, let me get this right. Is what you're saying is like the legality. Of course you can. But what you're saying is like the whole, like, why would you when this is the hand that's feeding kind of thing? Like, because, like,
no.
Is that what you're saying? What are you trying to say?
No, I'm saying, I'm going to say this one more time. The soldiers that have died for your right to protest it.
Yeah,
But you should still stand for the flag to respect the fact that they died.
Yeah, because
so when you just said
standing for the flag is disrespectful to them, which in return is disrespectful to me.
But okay, but the idea
I am saying it's disrespectful not to respect the soldiers that have died and shed blood.
Yeah, and I totally agree with you with
that.
Yeah,
and like you can once again, if they are protesting the national anthem, go for it.
Yeah.
I don't have to agree with it. I don't have to find it respectful. I don't have to do it for myself. I just say, okay, you're not standing for the flag. I find it disrespectful. You're not respecting the troops that have died. Yeah. But I get it. And there's nothing that I can say or get pissed off about because they died so that you can do that.
Yeah, but the idea is like, we have to pay homage to those soldiers because of course they died and they shed blood for us to
that's my statement.
Yeah, but like
we should pay homage to them.
But the analogy I'm getting is you've heard the whole biting the hand that feeds you thing, where it's like the hand is feeding you all this liberty and freedom, and the hand is where people have died, and people like Kaepernick, not standing for the anthem and like you're saying, disrespecting the anthem is like biting the hand that's feeding them, and you think that's wrong morally. Is what you're saying.
And that goes back to what I just said about dealing with the patriotism and dealing with the fact that anything that interrupts the national anthem or the display of the flag in any media format, any public format, is disrespectful, and that is above reproach. You're saying exactly what I'm saying, but then every time I ask you that, you're saying that that's not the case.
The way you're phrasing it,
but I don't
changes different.
I don't see how it changes it though, because you're saying that this is exactly what you're saying. And correct me if I'm misquoting
the flag in any way, I find it disrespectful.
You're saying that no matter what, even though the veterans, the soldiers who fought and who have died for this country, who has given us the right to protest, if I exercise that right, I'm being disrespectful.
Yes.
That's asinine to me.
Well, I get his opinion absolutely, because I feel like
I don't know. Am I the only one that feel that way?
One more question too, is do you think about why he's doing it?
I think about
no,
that's why he's doing it.
Because I think you do get it. So if you do, so that's where my thing is.
Why
to me, America is such a great nation. to me, if I owned my own country and there was a problem or there's some bullshit happening in my house, if I have a perfect household and I have a family and I realize one of my kids is doing drugs, I'm going to want to address that.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not saying drugs is the same thing as that. I'm saying it's just a problem.
Yeah.
So if there's an issue with America, if there's something going on in America that I'm disagreeing with, I kind of want to take a stand and I want people to recognize this is a great nation. So then it's not disrespectful if you agree with that.
But when it comes to the flag in the anthem, I find it disrespectful.
Wait, we just did circle. Wait.
Okay.
So you find it. So I just want to establish, and we got it, that you find it disrespectful of the right that the soldiers fought and died for, that they exercised. That's exactly what you just said.
Exercise the right.
We're reaching
right?
a point of opinion where it's just like there is no movement because you can't really like. Okay, I could have the opinion that Shaka.
So like, okay, I'm the
I could
soldier.
say-
I'm Soldier Johnson. I go out there and fight.
You're so fucking arrogant.
I'm just saying.
Soldier Johnson.
I'm Soldier Johnson, and I go out there and fight, and I lose a leg, and I fought out there because I want people to have the right to be able to protest and do what they want because this is the best country in the world, and I come back. Now somebody wants to exercise that right that I just lost my leg for.
Yeah.
Now that person is disrespectful because they just exercised the right that I just
Disrespecting
lost.
you.
That I just lost my leg
Exercising
for.
the right and finding something disrespectful are two completely different things.
I think I get because there's a legality of it. Like whatever.
I don't see that.
But like okay, like you can do it. You can do it. Obviously, you can do it. But like somebody can find it. Like well, like you were saying in a lighter way instead of saying disrespectful. I wouldn't have done that in a lighter way.
And that's where we're getting.
But
at.
the problem you're saying is like why the word disrespectful.
That's where I'm.
Because to me,
Yeah.
it's extreme.
Extreme.
Extreme would be me the pissing on fire.
Oh fuck those people.
And the lighting
You
the
light
flame.
the flag on fire. I'm up.
Oh yeah, that
I'm
to
gonna
me
kick your
that's
ass.
ridiculous.
I'll
Like
kick
that's
your
like
ass.
get out of our get our country boy. Like that's
Go
that,
back,
yeah,
boy.
don't do that
We all
shit.
go a
Like,
little south a little bit.
but that's the part where I'm like, wait, a Green Beret told him to do it. Wait,
Yeah.
he's just addressing an issue.
Well, at one point it's you can ask to define, but that's just asking somebody straight up like what their ethics are at that point. Because like I could come in.
If I
and
love
say,
America, I'd be like,
Yeah.
good, thank you for addressing
Yeah.
that. Hold on, let's
Yeah.
find out what he's talking
Yeah.
about. What is this man saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's why I was asking.
But
the
that's
question,
not the
do you
narrative,
know-
and that's
do you
not
know
what's
what he's
happening,
talking
and
about?
that's
Yeah.
not the conversation that
Yeah.
happened. What's happening
But-
is exactly the way you're explaining it.
But-
You're isolating yourself from the situation so you don't have to talk about it. You're saying that, hey, you know what? They can do what they want to do, and you use the word "they" quite often. They can do what they want to do if that's the way they feel.
Yeah.
But that don't need to be pushed onto me because I don't feel that way.
No,
I don't feel like their race is being disrespected. I don't feel that they're going through plight or hell. So I'm gonna feel like it's disrespectful.
No.
And to me, that is the problem.
I think it's going a little too complex here because at some point it's just opinions that can't be okay. So for example,
But opinions got to be supported by facts.
Jacob sees understands the
We're talking
problems.
about
going on.
facts. We'll
So-
bring up statistics.
But like what you were saying is you understand what's going on and why they're doing it, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, but hold on.
And I've never
hold on,
denied that they're not going through that.
Hold on. So you understand that and why it's going on. So he gets it. He gets it.
I
But
never
he himself,
denied that it's not
I
happening.
never said you didn't. But the thing is, he personally
Oh, I
finds
get
it
it.
disrespectful. You see what I'm saying? It's just an opinion thing where you can't change that. Like he gets the message. He
And
doesn't.
I never
but when-
denied it.
I
but
never-
can still.
Jacob, I
I
never
know.
said
I'm
you
saying.
didn't.
I'm saying.
Well, let me
for
get my
that.
point across. Let me get my point across.
Well, then
He-
that was my
hold on.
question. But then you said, and that was my
I've been
question
saying the
earlier
same
though.
thing over and over.
No. I'm talking about the question I asked. Then what would have not been disrespectful
I think-
into Way's awareness for his issue?
That
And then
question-
your answer was, or I don't know. He
Senator
can,
Prescott,
Well, okay.
We'll
hold on.
never know
Let me buffer
because
this.
he didn't take it that
Well,
way.
let me
That's
buffer
just thinking of something. Oh, what
That's-
else? could
that's
he
not
have done?
taking
it
But
that
we're not
way.
focused on what he could have
Tony,
done. We're focused on what he
You
did.
and I are getting the same vibe.
which
right?
is protest.
I think, right? So where it's like there is an opinion where people just have an opinion versus like they get the message. Like the word disrespect is loaded. Absolutely, it's because it implies wrongdoing or a position of wrongdoing. You are using the word because it offends you because you believe that they should at least respect the country that is giving them the power to do so. You know that you can do it, but you shouldn't. You probably if you're
You
in a
can
moral
do
high
it.
ground. But then we question morals and what we believe, and at that point, that's just where we're gonna have an impasse. You know, because he's getting the idea and he understands the problems, but he just has this moral kind of
I don't
impasse.
feel
where
feel,
it's
I
just
don't feel like it's an impasse. I think
Do you
it's-
kinda
I
get
think
what I'm saying? 'Cause
I
that's
feel
what I'm
like
getting.
I feel like it's a skirt on words, and I feel like it's
yeah.
we're there, but something's being dodged.
It's-
Because I keep bringing this same issue up when it comes to, and I use the examples, and I've tried to put it in layman's terms as best as I can. When you say that it's disrespectful that if I'm the soldier and I go over there and fight, and my motivation is to keep this country
If
free.
one soldier says it's okay, it doesn't mean other soldiers.
Any
No,
soldier.
no, yeah,
I'm not saying myself. I'm saying
Each
any
person has an
soldier.
opinion, yeah.
Any soldier that goes over, because now we're questioning motivations. But let's just say their motivations are for the right thing.
Yeah.
To create, make sure it's a free country for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
We want justice for all. Everybody to be treated equal,
Even
right?
based on World War II standards. Yes.
Everything.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm giving that person, and I'm exercising, and I'm fighting for the right for people to protest and keep that going because that's what this country was built on. And yet you're mad at the guy who exercised the right that the person went and fought for. That is what's asinine to me. That's what I don't get.
I'm mad at the concept.
Okay, let me
stand or
there's a
kneeling
quote.
for the flag
There's a
or
quote.
sitting for the flag.
There's a quote, I don't remember who said it, but they said, I may not disagree with what you say, but I will defend to the death your right to say it. And that's what I'm getting a vibe from him. Or he
I don't
may
have to
disagree,
agree with
but
it.
he'll...
But that's agreeing. That's
Yeah.
not disrespectful. Disrespectful is that
Well,
is
it's
a
just-
definition
it's
of a
just
word.
choice of words that may not.
If I
be,
call
you
Louise
know,
a racial slur, would you find that disrespectful?
be like, how dare you? That's so rude.
Well, of course. I
That's
think
so
everybody in
rude.
this room would.
But again, that's taking it to the extreme.
But
Yeah.
if I called him just a retard, would you find that disrespectful?
Yeah.
Some people.
He hasn't
would, some
displayed
people
that he's a
But that's
retard
not
so
the
far.
issue.
But the idea
So-
some people.
So
would,
I would
some people
say,
wouldn't.
so I would say, yeah, I say you're out of line, sir.
But me and Tony click the word here is individuals, and each person has a different opinion, and it's
called
certain
individualism.
opinion. Yeah, but like you know, one person to another, it's kind of like you know you may I wouldn't have done it that way. I wouldn't have done that versus you don't have you shouldn't do it.
We're talking about the level of disrespect, though.
Yeah.
Because is there really a level of disrespect? That's another thing too. That's another question. Like, is there a level of disrespect?
Yeah.
I think there
And
should be with
depending on
something
the
like
person,
this.
there may or may not be.
Well, then that's like
See, then
Now, I
that's.
can say this.
disrespect.
Everyone
Hold on,
is different.
everybody, right now. Is this? Did I just disrespect you guys?
To us,
I don't
no. But to other
In some
people,
cultures,
Other
Possibly.
people might think that's
because
disrespectful.
everyone is different.
Well, I mean
Everyone has a
this is-
different
this-
opinion, a different view, a different way of life.
I don't think there's any way to connect them because
I don't know what's going on at this point.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on.
because now we're just saying that everyone could just be disrespected
whatever.
because that's the
I'm a
way
boy.
I feel.
I'm a girl. I feel like a girl.
I
right
feel
now.
like
I feel like
that's
I'm-
what I feel. I feel
Well,
like
then
I'm
it's like, I'm
disrespected.
60
We're
years
not
old.
we're not putting any substance behind it.
And then,
Aren't you
yeah. And then it's like, and then it gets to the
Identify as
whole,
60.
it's the whole political correctness.
sick-
and
I
then,
feel like I'm
and then
60.
it devolves into that, But the idea is, and what I want to connect is that we understand why it's happening, and we agree that Kaepernick doing what he did may upset some people, but he did it for a positive cause that he wanted to get across, and the fact, and we have to at least understand that and try to move forward with that, and I would use the phrase, I wouldn't have done that myself, I get the phrase disrespect because you think of the people and the sacrifice people have made and what the country stands for, and some people may take it in the face value of you saying F you to the flag, F you to the country, because that's what it looks like. People perceive it that way, and that's your gut reaction.
No, that's not a way.
he's
That's not perception. That's the narrative that's being pushed because he
'cause
made
some
it very
people-
clear that it's not against the military.
Yeah.
He made it very clear that it's not against the country.
Yeah,
he made it very
myself,
clear
If he makes it clear that it's not against it, it doesn't mean that other people don't find it.
Then that's your problem.
Yeah, and that's a personal.
That's what
thing.
I'm saying.
This is a
And
That's
and just because you say that doesn't mean that you're right.
Yeah.
And
I
that's the
never claimed
problem.
that I was right.
But then
I claimed it was my
what is wrong,
opinion.
And it's the second whole. It devolves. You feel me? But we can all agree that Kaepernick, though some people may not have done it his way, did not do it to disrespect the United States, but to bring
But
awareness to an
we
issue.
have to start getting
Yeah.
we start also have to have some tangible context.
Yeah.
Now there's going to be some people in this world that feels like if I go over there and I stomp on this ant, that's murder. Now is that murder?
So,
It's all a definition.
It is not murder.
It's a
That is not murder.
I saw you look
Period.
over
Let's
there
make
like,
that
hold
very
on.
clear
she brought up a
here.
name. Yes.
It is not
Yeah.
murder to me.
Yeah.
I am not going to go to jail.
See, the key word is to you.
And that's the problem.
But that's the point.
That's the key word
But
right
now we
there.
start getting into
To
the
you.
moral context. But now we have to start getting into the moral context of it and the tangible reasons. Now, granted, there are people out there that feel like I murdered this ant.
Yeah, and you should pay for it. Is what you're trying to say.
Right.
Yeah, but there's just it's like each person has that individual.
So how much credibility does that have?
Well, that's the problem.
It doesn't
Like,
matter
then
about it. You
why
don't
does
need
it-
credibility. It's
You do
someone's
need
based
credibility.
opinion.
But that right there, to me, that's a cop out.
Yeah.
Well,
Cop out. I'll say this.
that's-
That is a cop out of the human construct of people, because everybody can just result. And this is what I get tired of. What people do on social media is they say anytime someone starts combating them and picking apart their opinion, they just resort to, well, that's my opinion. I'm sorry, that's just not going to fly. Your opinion of the sky being green, I don't give a damn. It's blue. Let's be real.
But then it's like
So now we're getting into, just because I have an opinion as a human being, that's going to save me or keep me away from being critiqued on why I feel the way I feel. And that is the issue. And we're talking about the word disrespect. We have to start getting real here and start having real conversations and not skirting the issue. And I think that's exactly what's happening.
It's gonna be,
Because this is the same type of conversation that is happening over social media, through comment threads, with people at their jobs, whatever the case may be.
so you're
With
talking,
interaction with people, they are having this type of conversation where they'll at the end of the day, their lasting words will be, "That is my opinion." And to me, that's the biggest cop out if you're not supporting it with facts,
because
and you're not supporting it with a reason why you actually feel this
But it
man
also depends
or
on
these
what you're
people
saying the opinion is.
disrespected.
Well, no,
You
no.
still have not done that. You have not, because if we went down and broke it down to the definition of disrespect, you have yet to clarify that. You've just said that's my
You
opinion.
gonna Webster it?
Yeah.
He's gonna, but like, okay, but like the thing is, like, I absolutely get what you're saying. The whole opinion versus fact. Let's get real with certain things. You can have an opinion, but we got to look at facts.
Oh.
Opinions.
Because I can say I'm disrespected
Yeah.
all day.
The
I can
reason
say,
why
you know what? I hate
Yeah,
wood.
there's nothing.
I
Yeah.
hate wood. I hate wood.
Yeah.
Tony's name is in wood right there. I'm
Disrespect, a lack
disrespected.
of respect or courtesy.
It's just like it's just a okay. Look, what you're saying is I get it. There needs to be a
No,
foundation.
I said
basis.
I found it. That's the perfect
Yeah.
term.
Yeah, you need a
Because
foundation.
now we got, like I just said, and I'll use the analogy.
Yeah.
I hate wood. Hate
Yeah.
that shit. That word right there. He's got his name Tony written in wood. I'm hella disrespected right now.
I didn't put that.
I'm
shit
disrespected. So that should hold credence, because I feel disrespected because this wood is staring at me right now.
Yeah.
So
And
now
what's that boiled down
so
to?
now Tony's got to move it
Therefore.
because I don't like
You
it.
can equate that to so many social
Okay.
problems that's going on
And
right
that's
now.
exactly
That
my
logic.
point, because we don't have any basis of foundation of speech. We're just saying it's my opinion. And to me, that's a cop-out. We need to start having context behind why that's your opinion. That is the issue. And that's why none of this stuff gets solved. Because everybody just resorts to, it's my opinion. And that's
Real
why
quick,
nothing gets talked about.
Just real quick, just to throw this out there, because I kind of know a little bit outside of your political beliefs.
Yeah.
When you had brought up the fact that you don't believe that biologically a female and a male can't decide what they are. You can't just, at this moment, I can't just say I'm a female, right? You agree with that?
Yeah.
Right. So you do realize that community would call you disrespectful for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and some cultures
And
would
guess
call you
what it is?
disrespectful for like doing this. It's
It's
all
what I
like,
believe.
It's just, but like,
And that's what it boils down to.
No, okay.
They
so
can
there-
think I can find
okay,
disrespectful,
let me-
but
let
that's
me-
what they believe,
let me-
and
let
that's
me-
what their life
Let
is.
me buffer here real quick. So
That
there are
makes
some
sense.
there are some things like in culture where it's just like that's kind of like how the society built and how it kind of survived. And there's certain things like in Italy, it means fuck you. Why is it? You walk up to an Italian or like a Greek guy, thumbs up, he's gonna get offended. That's some things that are just kind of there. But there are some things.
But this
you
isn't
need to
lost
have-
in translation,
Yeah,
though.
but there are some things that you need to have at least a basis for. Is what you're saying.
Exactly.
That-
And I don't feel like we're operating under the
Yeah.
same rules and parameters based on the definition
Yeah.
that he has given and
Yeah.
the reason why he has
But you're
that.
asking-
And I would,
that
and just me
opinion.
personally, this is just me personally. I would just wish that people, because I'm not just meaning you, but there's other people that think that way, and I just wish that they would look into a deeper root cause of that. Like for instance, like if someone did say they were female, right, and they were a guy in front of me,
Yeah.
I shouldn't be like that's disrespectful or blah blah blah. I should make a
Disagree.
question like, why do you feel you want to bend your ass over? What do you like?
What you got? What you
What
got,
do you
bro?
like? Like, come on,
What you
man.
got?
Like I should try to figure it out. Like, what's going on? And so when we're trying to trail this back to what we were talking about earlier with Kaepernick, and you're saying it's disrespectful, it's like, well, you should know the deeper root of why. Like,
And
oh,
I
shit.
do know the deep.
Hold on.
But you still find it disrespectful.
Let Tony go.
But you
Let
still
Tony
find
go.
it disrespectful,
Let Tony go.
exactly. So
That contradicts.
exactly.
You
So
can know what
Tony
something
go.
is, but still find it.
you can't say
disrespectful.
no though, because when you know all the facts. But when you know why he did what he did, why he stopped sitting down, why he finally took a knee, why he finally said to himself, well, if the veterans think that way, I'll have respect for the veterans, and I'll take a knee just like he asked me to. Not saying now that green beret doesn't speak for all the military veterans out there, because obviously people have a different opinion of that. People are obviously going to say, well, to me that's still disrespectful, and I get it, especially if we're talking about past wars. But ultimately, what he's doing it for, especially when he announces it, you know what I mean? I still think. And it's not something that's extreme. It's not like pissing on the flag.
His reason is
I'm
not up
peeing
for
on the flag
interpretation.
because peeing on the flag,
it's not.
I'm getting rid of the white lines and making them yellow, so it's not all white, so it's not all white lives, or whatever the hell. Like, you know what I mean?
Creative.
Like, I'm just trying to just think of something that's extreme to relate it to something that's just kind of small. Right? So, to me, it's like ultimately, I'm just hoping that you realize why Kaepernick's doing, why he's doing it, and even though you see it as disrespectful, I almost wish that you didn't see it as disrespectful. You just saw it more of like,
I wouldn't do that.
I wouldn't do that, but hey, I see why he's doing it. You know what I mean? Because he could be, compared to what people do to the flag and how they disrespect this country, because there are people like that out here that just do the most ridiculous things. Yeah. But what he's doing, that's
and they ain't NFL players.
That's like, well, let me analyze this. Kaepernick, his only platform is the NFL.
Yeah.
They never used to stand for the national anthem. Now they are. You know what? All right. I see why he's doing it. And not that it's disrespectful, it's for anybody else doing it and not understanding and not doing it under the same guise as Kaepernick is doing it. To me, that's the only way I can see you drawing the line.
Yeah. Is having the basis as to what and why and looking into what and before you form an opinion is what you're saying. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but your basis is that, like, you know, because
past people that have died,
undermining what other people have done for the country.
Yes,
which never forget past slaves that died.
Yeah.
So now we have two different sides.
Yeah, and we can have our own
And
reasons.
I'm not denying that just because one side died, that means the other side is completely undermined, that they don't count at all.
And I'm willing
to specifically focus on one area when it comes to this one matter. When it comes to the flag and it comes to the national anthem, you focus and have the common courtesy to respect the soldiers that have died for this country. That's what it is.
What time are we on? Just a quick question.
There's a podcast goes whenever.
We probably actually got to wrap this up soon, honestly.
Okay, cool.
So is there any final thoughts that y'all want to get out? I mean, what are you thinking, Tony?
No, I don't know, and I'm glad, because there's other people that, like, I'm hoping ultimately what people end up realizing is that hopefully you gotta look at a different perspective. I still will. I'll still think on this. Like, I'll literally be like, okay, so.
Can I really quickly see the talent real quick? Because when I brought up the video, there's a specific still frame that I wanted to show.
You're looking for a still frame. Sure, go for it. But you go ahead, Tony. You were saying? Here, I'll pass it.
It was on that video.
Yeah.
Oh, it was on this video?
Here, I'll pass it over.
If you want to display it, hit the Chromecast button.
Yeah. So go ahead, find that. And you go ahead and go up saying what you were saying.
What was my last words?
You were going for the whole. We were tying back to the whole basis thing, and God damn it, it's on the tape. But now I'm forgetting. But you were going somewhere with it. You were just building your kind of like pretense to it.
There, right there, I found it. We were all humans until race disconnected us, religion separated us.
Politics divided us.
Politics divided us, and wealth classified us. That's what I originally wanted to break when you talked about how racism is used to divide us, and that's what this made me thought of.
It does.
Was this specific still frame? We're all humans in the end, but this is what separates. What did you do?
Oh no! Do you want to play it?
There it is.
No, I just wanted to keep it paused there, but he pressed the button.
And
refreshing.
But
it's actually casting to the actual TV.
What would you say the general kind of like throughout all this talk, starting from what we started with racial bias in the United States with authority, up to people finding a way to protest to it? What do you think is the main kind of idea that people should be at least trying to grasp at? Because you got your idea, you're pushing that. And I understand what you're saying completely, and I understand what he's saying. But where do you stand, Tony?
I'm basically just standing on the premise that you should hear what somebody's saying.
Absolutely. And
then try to literally. I mean, in this situation, it's really hard to explain because it's not the same.
It's language that's difficult, you know.
Yeah, and it's the language. It really is, but at the same time, it's not though, because when you're saying something, when you're implying, for instance, the word disrespectful. Yeah. Like if I were to say, let's say, for instance, I'm living here and I told you guys, you guys came here in my house first time, and I said my wife is disrespectful. she is disrespectful, I'd be like, well, why are you with her?
Why?
You would tell me to leave her. You would tell me that's wrong. Like, what do you? So ultimately, when you're saying the word disrespect, you're saying whatever it is that person's doing is completely wrong. And I'm asking people to do one thing. I'm asking them to look at that and decide that why it's not disrespectful because of these reasons, these facts that are put out there. Like, this man is not talking about World War II veterans. He's not talking about, people that are even currently in the military, which I would even talk about, but he's not even talking about that. He isn't peeing on the flag.
Yeah.
He isn't taking a shit on it or burning it.
Yeah.
Like, he's literally just listening to another veteran told him
to take a knee. So what you're saying is before you personally decide it's respectful based on your own ideas, you should go out and investigate why they're doing such things before you decide, because it's up to what they're doing and what they're trying to get across. But it's up to what they're trying to get across, not what you're perceiving it as.
Exactly, and then come back and say, I get it, but this is where the twilight comes.
Yeah,
right, and this right. But it's just still disrespectful. Then you get it.
But see, and then that's when we get to the above reproach part. Like I said, then what would it not? What would it take for it not to be disrespectful?
Define disrespect, and then
what would he have to do?
Also, you need to disrespect things to make people look into it.
That's protest,
right?
In a sense, making people uncomfortable, making them feel
Yeah, but I disagree with that because he's not protesting the military.
Movement.
That would be the case if he was protesting the military.
African Americans would walk into a diner and sit there for hours in the whites only section. People found that disrespectful.
But then it's like,
and that's a form of a protest.
But
it's making people open up and see what's going on.
Okay, well, let me ask you this. Let me stop you right there. Were those white people that were upset, or anybody that was upset for them sitting in there, were they wrong for feeling that way? You goddamn right. Because they shouldn't have had to have a goddamn sit in. They should be able to sit wherever the fuck they wanted to sit. That's the problem, and that's the issue. Exactly what we're talking about here: the moral compass, the actual basis of foundation, the context, and that's the part.
You're also equating.
So I don't really give it that part is irrelevant to me.
Liking how someone kneels for the flag.
No, Jacob, that's not the point he's making though. Like the idea is like this
whole time they haven't been able to move on because no one likes the fact. Like he doesn't like the fact that I think is disrespectful, and I use the word disrespectful, and I'm going to continue to use it because I find it that way.
No, but all he's saying, and I get what he's saying, is before you just
like I feel like that wood's disrespectful.
Before you say disrespectful,
I don't like it.
Hold on, y'all. So like what Tony was saying is, before we start calling things disrespectful and forming opinions, go out there, look into it, really understand it.
Which is what he's saying he did.
Yeah. And for example, his example is the whole whites, whites felt disrespected.
In the example you just gave.
What they had besides they were white and they didn't like black people? And they didn't look, why were they protesting? Because they wanted rights.
So here's my next question. If Boyer, what's his first name?
Nate Boyer.
If Nate Boyer came in right now, shook your hand, what branch are you going to?
I'm going to National Guard.
I want
National Guard. And he's like, hey, I went to National Guard before I became a Marine. Hey, man, awesome. And all of a sudden he told you that he didn't think it was disrespectful. What would you think of him saying that? You were just telling him.
Well, his opinion is not his.
You're a human being and lives in America and can come up with your own opinion. But I live in this country too. I can make my own opinions and come up with my ideas and my ideologies. So now, whether you choose to agree with me or disagree with me is your right to. The whole point of this country is that you have different ideologies that are supposed to come together and talk about things and find common ground. Now, we can find common ground on that specific issue, but there's things we just won't find common ground on.
So his next question... No, that's perfect. So his next question would be, okay, so tell me why it's wrong to do that. Because it's obvious that you think disrespectful is being wrong in a sense. Because if I slap my wife right now, it's wrong. So that's disrespectful. Yeah. So... The next question he would, so the next question he would say is
the 50s.
Right, Boyer would say, "Well, I've gone through 4 tours. I've seen war. Yeah. I spilled blood. You haven't spilled blood yet, so I have a right to talk on this. So the only reason why I'm telling you is because I care about you. So, how am I wrong?" That's his next question to you.
Okay, and he used this. Are you saying in this scenario he used to say that he has the right to talk on it?
Well, okay,
no, he has.
But he asked the question: how is he wrong?
How is he wrong? Yeah.
Because when you equate disrespectful, that's exactly what you're saying.
Okay, and the definition of disrespectful is having a lack of courtesy.
Oh, now we're going backwards now. Because we're saying it's wrong.
No, we're saying, we're talking about, I'm using the word disrespectful. And I'm saying the definition of disrespectful is having a lack of courtesy. Okay. And I'm saying It is disrespectful to not have the courtesy to stand for the flag, to respect the people who have died for the
Even if you don't think there's anything wrong with the
Courtesy
country.
and wrongdoing. Actually, that word courtesy is different than...
Right.
That's in the definition. I looked it up. I still got it bookmarked.
But even if you don't think there's anything wrong in the country, that's what I'm talking about. Looking into it again.
Once
Okay,
again,
I think we're
just
stuck
because
here.
you find if I'm saying this flag is disrespectful, if I'm saying kneeling for the flag is disrespectful, it doesn't automatically mean that I think there's nothing wrong with this country. We have a shit ton of things wrong with this country. There's no denying that. Yeah. Every country has something wrong with it. Now we want to talk about police brutality and how that's an issue. Yes, that's a hot topic issue in this country. Now, once again, kneeling for the flag, the way they are representing it is talking about police brutality. But the way I see it, if you do not stand for the flag, no matter what your issue is, whatever you're trying to focus on, if you do not stand for the flag and stand for the national anthem, it is showing a lack of courtesy to the troops that have died for this country, which is disrespectful.
Fanfira.
And that's exactly my point. It's above reproach. I'll say it for like the 10th time.
Because it just makes it to where, I don't know.
How dare you?
Nationalistic.
How dare you
So
not
I think-
stand for the flag that the people fought and
And you
died
can
for?
say how
So-
dare you,
so-
and you can say
we're gonna-
how
we're
dare
going in
you
circles.
stand for it.
We're going in circles here, but what we should get across here is what are the toughest questions you're trying to answer before anybody comments on them, makes an opinion on them, guys. What are the problems here? The words disrespect and the connotations behind that. Why do you find things disrespectful? In
I feel it's
yeah.
being it's like
But-
you said, it's going into
the main
individualistic
questions we're stuck
opinion
on before we
and with
end
no
it, yeah.
basis behind
Yeah,
it.
there's
Like I
no-
said,
it's-
I can say that the sky. I can say all day right now the sky is black,
Yeah.
and then somebody can say nope, it's red. Well, that's your opinion.
I have the right. It's my God-given
That's
right.
my God-given right to say that the sky is red. Okay, then
It's
yes,
gonna go
that is your
You
right,
don't have to agree with
and
it.
I don't have to agree with
You
it.
don't.
But I can tell you right now,
that's-
you are not correct, sir.
And
It is not red. And that's where we need to start getting to, this idea that just because I got an opinion, that's where the conversation gets nowhere, because that's where everybody says, oh, that's just my opinion. We haven't gotten anywhere.
It also
This
depends
whole conversation tonight has gotten nowhere. Only thing I've gotten is your idea and opinion behind it. But we haven't had no real conversation, because all you're saying is, that's my opinion. That's not debating. You have to debate. You have to literally
Because
support
every
it.
time I use
Support
my
it with
or
facts.
use an argument, your immediate response is, "What about these people, huh?
No,
these people
Jake,
did that. These
no,
people
no,
did
no.
that." I'm not undermining what
No.
other people did. I'm not undermining what.
No,
people
no,
did.
I think-
I'm using a specific group for my specific example
And
on my
you did.
specific
Yeah.
opinion.
And I said it, and you used that example, and I thought that was a perfect example. You talked about sit-ins, and you said that those white people said that that's disrespectful. And my question to you was,
Why?
who gives a damn? Number one,
I-
and are they right to feel disrespected?
You don't have to.
No, answer that. Answer
you
that.
Can find something disrespectful, but you don't have to be right about it. That's what you're boiling it down to.
So
You
you're
take-
choosing the side of non-rightness?
No,
We're
I'm.
going back.
Ooh. Never mind. I thought something evil. I'm an evil person. Keep going.
So my question is, so that's my
So
question.
what's the Holocaust?
And that's the
How did you
How did you know?
The fucking Holocaust.
Oh my God!
That's what he
dude.
was going for.
So
Okay.
How are you
Jesus.
Hold on, I want to know how are
Jesus.
you going to incorporate the Holocaust?
Well,
Okay.
I've had family members. You guys don't get this. Like, you guys want to talk all this, bro. I've had family members die at the Holocaust, bro. Like, it
Same.
really gets to me. Well, they died. They fell off the watchtowers.
Oh, I love those
up.
videos. Fun fact,
Jesus.
actual historical
Somebody
device.
did that, right?
One side of my family were actually killed in the Holocaust, and on the other side of the family
With regards.
was a Nazi that actually pulled the lever that actually killed my other
He's
side
actually
of the
not,
family.
he's not
Oh
joking.
my
That's the thing. That's
God.
just legit.
Jesus.
Okay, so let's. So
I have
right-
actual
so
Nazi
before-
relatives
family-
and actual
hold on,
Jewish
okay.
relatives
Yeah, so let's get
that were
past that.
killed.
But we're going left,
Those
right,
family
left, right,
reunions
left, right,
are
right.
crazy.
So
Okay.
let's
Welcome to
drive
history,
let's
boy.
drive
I know.
home, let's drive home kind of the main idea of what we're going
Mhm.
for here. Let's try to
Got it.
combine these here. So Tony,
Mhm.
we want to make sure that people, like he's saying, have a kind of a foundation and kind of real solid things to stand on to have an opinion on something. You know, like he said, if you look at a strawberry and say it's purple and you see it is red, but that's my
yeah, you can have that
Yeah,
opinion,
it's
but
whatever.
you are not correct.
Yeah, versus the idea of like personally finding something.
To me, that's a cop out.
Yeah, and versus personally finding something.
That's
you know,
exactly what it is.
yeah, versus personally finding something that's like you disagree with and would deem disrespectful because it's,
Okay,
it's
so-
dodging courtesy. But what are we? What are,
You're using your own emotions
Yeah,
to
but-
define what you really feel about the situation.
before we
That's
get there,
exactly what
it's-
you've just said to me tonight.
It's
yeah,
like
before we get there, what are we? What's this thing we're trying to grab at? You know, before we get this, because I feel like we're not going to answer this question for a while. You know,
there's no way to
hard,
say it. I
you
mean,
know?
it's just like telling.
is that
It's
we
like,
can agree to
Let- let
disagree.
Tony-
That's the
Tony
basis.
Ah.
And that's
You
can
exactly
agree to
why we're
disagree.
in the position that we're in right now.
agreeing to disagree is
Yeah.
ooh.
A cop out.
That's
Yeah.
a killer.
That's exactly what it is.
That's what it's going to boil down to. Everyone.
And
is
that's
different.
how they never gonna get better.
I mean,
and that's why
should
people
none of the
need to keep
scientists
on
and-
protesting and keep fighting the establishment the way that they are to make people uncomfortable. This whole sense of complacency is the problem with this country, and the reason why we're not gonna get a certain group of people, which in this case that we're talking about is black people, uprooted from that idea, because we got the majority of the people in this country feel that there isn't a problem because that's their fucking opinion.
Yeah.
And that's the goddamn problem.
Why is the?
But nobody wants to talk about it. We just gonna play this game. Let's agree to disagree bullshit.
Because it's like, should the people that, put the people in the concentration camps, should they go to jail? Well, they were just given orders. It's like, well, they knew it was wrong.
It's like the
but-
same example he just gave. The people doing the sit-in and the white people feeling disrespected. Well, yeah, they're disrespected. They're the ones who feel like that they're better than black people and that they should be separate from blacks, and blacks should have their own restaurant or go to their own diner or whatever the case may be. That doesn't make them right.
Right.
None of that make them ethically, morally right, which is more important. You're making an emotional decision based on how you feel, not based on facts when you define being
If you want to
disrespectful.
talk about facts, that's actually what that's what people stand for the flag for, is to respect the dead soldiers.
No, but-
that's actually why
No.
people do that.
But
When
So
you
then-
talk
we're talking
actual
about-
facts,
So then
that's
why does 95% of the people who've been in the military have told me that they don't feel disrespected? And not only they don't feel disrespected, they agree with the stance. Not even just disrespected,
See, that's 95%
they
of the people
agree.
but the 100% of the people that I know that are in the military find it disrespectful.
And you still have not said
Can I
why.
see the tablet real quick? Ooh.
Ah, man, it's just difficult, man. Shit.
You keep just bringing up dead soldiers.
Because that's the whole premise of it.
But those dead soldiers fought so he
It's
could do
not-
what he did.
Yes, and you... Okay?
But
So how is
They
that
died.
disrespectful?
we're back.
That's the whole point.
Yeah.
That's the whole point.
So
Like,
we're
you're not
back
making
on
any
again.
sense.
Okay, so let's you got something you want to kind of like touch on before it's all over, Tony, at all?
No, that should be it. I mean, I guess.
It's something that people got to go home and really flip around like a pancake. You feel me? Because because I absolutely get what you're saying, I absolutely get what Jacob's saying, but there's certain words that have difficult definitions or certain concepts that are totally clashing here.
Going home and having a bowl of honey bunches of votes ain't gonna get nobody to realize the issues. I'll tell you that right now.
But what we need to do is sit down with
And
each other
sitting with
try
the
to solve
idea of
answer,
complacency
you know?
ain't gonna do it either.
But we're sitting with each other and talking about it and trying to find a solution is the best way to go through it, Because if we just sit there complacent, he's right, then certain things will end up happening that we could have prevented,
Mhm.
Like the whole idea with getting a gun pulled on Tony. What could have people done before that? What could we have done as a people to kind of like stave that off to where that shit stops happening, Where one thing leads to another. and
Well,
eventually-
the only other thing that could have changed that circumstance was to change the heart of the cop.
that and why they believe certain things and
I try to understand him. I just think his ex-girlfriend
Just didn't blow
ended
it.
up going with a black guy during high school, and then
He
he,
didn't
ended
get
up
the
getting a
suck back.
job, and he's like, "Oh, that's fucking black
He didn't get
guy.
the suck.
I'm gonna get him."
He didn't
Like,
get that
like,
He didn't get that suck, so he had to he had to just release it.
he's just releasing it, like
Yeah,
he's just
but-
like.
You didn't fucking blow me after prom.
I do have to admit
I
this was an
blame
interesting
you.
talk though. I did enjoy it though. But this is definitely something I'm gonna try to pose to more of my friends because now that I'm like really seeing this kind of like thing going on here, I'm like, oh shit, I gotta ask people about this. Like disrespect. Why is it? What's going on here? But that was holy shit. That's crazy, man.
So
That was
it's
really
actually
cool.
60% of veterans that agree with Kaepernick.
Mm-hmm.
40% of them though won't watch because of the protests. And it's funny.
And
'cause,
I
like,
won't
these
even
polls-
go even with those numbers.
Yeah.
I won't even say, even if I'm just looking on a numbers base, I wouldn't say that is the morally right just because the majority of
Right.
the people
Mhm.
agree.
Yeah.
That is not my position.
Yeah.
My position is on a strict moral level, not in an emotional feeling just because I have family members who may feel that same way. That is not the basis on the way I feel. I'm basing it on facts of how you feel disrespected.
Mhm.
And I don't see that in
That's
the
pretty
argument.
clear. That is pretty clear. What you're
And
saying.
that is where I'm saying
I
we
mean-
have to come to actually some some tangible
Reasons.
reasons on why you feel this way. And I mean, it was your example that you brought up with the sit-ins. Now we're looking at it from a moral compass, which we should be looking at as human beings, because that's changing the heart. That's the bigger part, because once we start changing the heart, that's when you're going to start changing the behavior. So if we're looking at the moral compass of it, that's how I think we need to start approaching it.
So yeah, Tony, anything you think should be more importantly, like for anybody at home that's listening, you know, like
No. I mean, just like it's obvious. I mean, and there's gonna be people out there that still feel this way, but we just hope that again, look into it. Hope you've heard the facts, in terms of everything we've talked about. Hope you realize a different side, like, well, okay, I actually see, what he's been told, what he's been said. And even the other people who don't see, I'm sorry, the other people that see that it's disrespectful. The people that see that it is disrespectful. Yeah. I think those people, I mean, for the most part, I guess I'm just doing circles here by just saying, like, look at the information, like what's been said on this. I mean, if you still think it's disrespectful, ultimately it's not against the military. It isn't, never was against the veterans. Even if it is the national anthem, I think you need to always remember the fact that this was never televised in the first place. This was barely brought back in 2009. I think this is a great example of what they want to do in terms of divide. If that's what they're trying to do, I mean, they're doing a pretty damn good job of it. I mean, bringing up aspects like this, even coming up to Kaepernick and questioning this question to him when they knew he was sitting down before, and just because he started kneeling, started questioning him. Because I think that there was a bigger picture to look at when it comes to this. But
Jake, anything else before we close it out? I'm thick as fuck. Yeah, but I mean, this really does open me up, because it's not until you sit down with somebody and ask the hard questions like that until you start seeing things a different way. That's definitely and the whole thing with like Kaepernick and the history behind that, and the whole defining why, not just what disrespect is, but why that's there for you, definitely can change perspective. And now I'm kind of like flipping it. I'm not okay. Now I get it, and then it gets the ball rolling, and that's how we really can help solve problems. So. Right. So that was a good night, and
awesome, guys. Yeah, thank you for watching the podcast. We're probably gonna, I don't know what subject we're gonna do next week, but the week after, you guys know Black Panther's out, so
we're gonna review it, because I'm so about that.
Yeah, we're gonna review it.
Yeah,
so if you guys want to come,
that's my movie, dude. I'm so excited for that.
Yeah, we're hella excited.
Short, as a precursor.
What day we doing it?
That weekend, that actual Babe Friday.
So you going on Friday, right?
We're going on Friday to watch it. We're just gonna come here and do a review.
So next time is Black Panther.
Right.
Y'all gonna touch on Black Panther.
Yeah, we're touching Black Panther. I'm hoping at the end of the month we're gonna talk about as a Canary Jews. That's a whole nother thing. Yeah, that's a whole nother subject.
We're talking about Jews, because I'm a Jew.
Really?
Not until recently. I
converted to Judaism as of.
But
and people watching this that actually know what I'm talking about are probably laughing right now. Yes, exactly. As a Canary Jews. But anyways, guys, thank you so much.
Well, thank you for thank you for letting us talk about stuff like this. So this is the kind of stuff people should be talking about at home with each other.
Right.
Do it with somebody you know. So I think we're all set then.
Wait, what is that, babe? What are you doing? That's a new sign? What is that?
What does that mean?
Is a fingy.
Fingro.
Fingro?